I'm Ryan from ExtremeTerrain.com, and this is my review of the Barricade Adventure Mirrors fitting all 1987 and up Wranglers. These are available in the round mirrors that you see here, but they're also available in a rectangular mirror if you would prefer that. Today we're going to talk through the very simple installation of these mirrors, as well as the construction and some of the features. One of the best things about owning a Wrangler of any year is the fact that you can easily take the doors off and either hit the trail or hit the streets. But when you remove those doors, you also lose your mirrors. So in a lot of areas that makes you illegal, and it's also a bit unsafe to not be able to check behind you when changing lanes and making turns. So having a set of mirrors like these ones that you can easily pop into the factory door hinges when you remove the factory doors, which give you the ability to see behind you and also keep you legal, is a really good idea. These are going to be an inexpensive set of mirrors that pop on and off very easily, and they'll definitely get the job done. When you're talking about mirrors, there are a couple of different options to retain the mirror while you have the door off. There are options where you can move your factory mirror from the door to the A-pillar of the Jeep permanently, so when you take the doors on and off, you're only removing the door and you don't have to mess with the mirrors at all. Another option is to attach a quick release mount onto the A-pillar and leave the factory mirror on the factory door. That way you remove the door with the mirror, pop your quick release mirror onto the bracket on the A-pillar, and you have your mirrors for no door driving. However, with that method, you always have that bracket on the A-pillar whether the mirrors are attached or not. And then finally, your third option is a setup like this, where you remove the factory door with the factory mirror attached to it and pop this mirror into the factory door hinge. This is something that of course needs to be removed and reinstalled every time you take the door on and off, so in my opinion it is a little bit more work than permanently relocating the factory mirror onto the A-pillar. But if you like this design, if this is something that you're after, this is certainly a well-built option. As I mentioned before, these are available in both round and rectangular, and they have a textured black powder coat on them to finish them off. They'll come out of the box as you see them here in a couple of different pieces: the arm that drops into the hinge, the mirror itself, and of course it comes with all of the hardware to put it together. Now, one of the things about a mirror setup like this is you do need to tighten it down in the hinge every time you go to use it. Otherwise, the wind is just going to fold this mirror in. And the fact that you do need to tighten it down means you're going to have access to a wrench, again, every time you take the doors on and off. To me, that seems to be a little bit more work than necessary. I personally like to just relocate the mirrors to the A-pillar. But again, if you like this design, it comes out of the box with everything that you need to make it work. Installing these mirrors is a very simple 1 out of 3 wrenches, and it has to be because you're going to be installing and uninstalling them every time you take your doors on and off. However, actually installing them on the Jeep is a very simple process. You simply drop it into the top door hinge and attach the nut on the bottom. It's very, very simple, but you do have to do it every time you take the door on and you take the door off. Now, the first time you take these out of the box, you will have to attach the mirror onto the mirror arm, and that's something you only have to do once. Once that's done, that stays attached and you don't have to mess with that anymore. The process shouldn't take you more than about 5 minutes, but you will need a wrench to get it done. In my opinion, this is a really well-built design, and they have a nice finish on them. They don't rattle or move around as much as is possible with a mirror that is simply held into place with a nut and bolt. However, as I mentioned before, you can spend just a little bit more money to get a bracket that permanently relocates your mirror from the door onto the A-pillar. Now, a lot of you might say the mirror on the A-pillar is a little bit more difficult to see, and sometimes that's the case, but Barricade actually has an option for permanently relocating that mirror that is adjustable, so you can see very clearly even out of the passenger side mirror when it's mounted on that A-pillar. So it really comes down to what you're looking for. If you like this design, as I've said a couple of times now, I think it's well built. It's a perfectly good option, as well as a lot of other options out there on the market. However, my personal opinion is spend a couple more dollars, move the mirror permanently so you're not having to do the work every time you take the doors on and off. So if you want to take the doors off your Wrangler and either hit the trail or hit the street, but also stay legal and stay safe by retaining those side view mirrors, I think an option like this will definitely get the job done. If you would prefer to permanently move your factory mirrors from your doors onto the A-pillars, Barricade also makes a really nice adjustable bracket that will do that, and it'll keep you from having to install and uninstall the mirrors every time you take the doors on and off. So that's my review of the Barricade Adventure Mirrors fitting all 1987 and up Wranglers that you can find right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.